Okay, so do you bet? Just to make it clear to the audience, so I'm an environmentalist, and I am interviewing you, Dubet, and she worked on the shark, the last shark team. So I think we should continue from where we left off. So my question is that you swam to Dyer Island in your documentary. Now, I just want to know. Now, in your documentary, you stated that there were no sharks. You didn't see any sharks, which was the alarming, which was one of the red flags. But on the case, were you aware that that you could potentially be attacked by a shark or the potential dangers? And did you tell anyone else about it?
Yeah, so 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 this is the thing, and this is the thing that I think everybody wants to hear, is that I have zero fear of sharks because sharks are statistically not dangerous. I think this is what everybody wants to hear. And I thought after doing that swim, I would have zero fear of sharks ever again. I grew up very close to Gansbaai, like right on the water, and I've been in the water a lot. So sharks, orcas, these things have always been part of my experience that I've had over the years in the ocean. And after that swim, I almost want to say I'm even slightly more scared of sharks.
Mm.
And now, even now, when I go and swim, I'm accomplished. I'm a very, very good swimmer. I'm very comfortable. I spent a lot of time on the sea, in the sea, working against syndicates that operate in the sea. I've done a lot of adrenaline fueled stuff in the ocean. And even now, when I take a swim here in the ocean, when I kick a piece of bamboo, I'm still going, hey, is that a white shark? And so people want to hear that I have zero fear of sharks, but I think it would be dishonest of me to say that. I think the more honest and realistic takeaway for me from having done that swim, which was an incredibly scary thing to do. It's a kind of an insane experience to have undertaken, given the fact that you can never predict when sharks move and how many sharks are going to be around that island, especially that time of year. Um, my takeaway from that is that even despite me having been in the water with orcas, with sharks, having done this swim, even despite the fact that statistically sharks pose a virtually negligible risk to humans, it's still in the back of my mind. And there's a reason for that. And that's why the average person is always going to have that association with the white shark. And so the question is, why does somebody like me that know the small risk, that has done all these crazy things, why am I still fearful of sharks? I shouldn't be. But the reality is, and this is my only takeaway from that, why we are scared of sharks is that the ocean is not our place. It's not
Mm.
where we feel safe. We don't feel comfortable in there. Think about it. Like when you go into the ocean, you suit up like an astronaut. You put on a diving suit, you put on a mask, you put on a self-contained breathing apparatus. This is like a guy going to the moon, and there's a reason for it. The ocean, you cannot breathe in there. You
Yes, you can't.
are poor swimmers. We bob around on the top. Um, we bob around on the top. We don't have the ability of marine mammals. We can't see under the water without a mask. Open your eyes next time you're in the ocean. You can. Yeah, where I'm based, the visibility is poor in any case. Even with a mask, you can't see far. But without a mask, even less. You can't hear when something is approaching you. When you're in the bush and there's lions around, at least you can hear when something is moving behind you. At least you can see. Your visibility goes 100 meters when you're in the bush. In the ocean, your visibility without a mask is almost zero, and with a mask, it's still incredibly poor in most areas. So any predator in there is amplified in our mind, and this is the whole problem with our perception and our fear of sharks. It's a amplified perception, where in reality, statistically, they do not pose a risk. So I would love to say I was completely cured from my distrust in big predators moving in the ocean, but I have to be honest, and I think I'm doing the cause a service by being honest and saying, look, this is a natural problem that all of us struggle with. And this is why I understand why people overreact to sharks. This is why I understand why they're busy culling them in KwaZulu-Natal. I understand that, and that's the reality. We have to confront it head on, but at the same time, we have to look at the facts and the statistics and the mathematics, and we have to say, look, this animal, even though I'm scared of it, it doesn't pose a risk to me. Number one. Number two, considering all factors, it's worth way more alive than what it's worth dead. Our ocean needs this animal to service it so that we can get our oxygen, we can get our food from the ocean. For those of the communities that live from ocean protein, it's a significant contribution in the bigger picture. So we need that shark alive, number one, for what it gives us in terms of oxygen and a healthy food supply system. Number two, we also need that animal because ecotourism and certain sectors of the tourism industry thrive on a healthy ecosystem. And that's been a massive step forward for us, because if we cannot generate an economy from animals, we will no longer have those animals around. That is unfortunately the cold, hard reality of human existence and the capitalist and the economic systems that we live in. An animal with a worth is kept around, and an animal with no worth is no longer kept around. So we've done great work by building ecotourism industries. This is why we have rhino. This is why we have elephant. There's no other reason. It's not because we're nice people. It's because they have a value to us. That is why we still have them. And that is why tourists come to South Africa, because that is what we have, what no one else has. Now, on land, we have Big Five. And at sea, we have Big Five. But at sea, we're behind. We're lagging light years behind. We would never manage our Big Five on land the way we manage our Big Five at sea. We would never have a culling system in there, because in the 1950s, a couple of people were killed in wildlife conflict in a short space of time. And we decided the best way to do this is to just start culling those animals and everything else that, God forbid, swam through those same channels. We would never do that on land. There would be a massive, massive outcry. I've worked both on land and
Backlash.
sea, and I've seen how we prioritize the protection of rhino firsthand, because I'm part of those teams prioritizing the protection. And I look at the white shark on the other side of the spectrum, and I don't see any of that effort in protection. I see us still culling this animal. And you know what's shocking? Last year, elephants killed close to 700 people. White sharks last year killed, I don't know how many, but it's the total number of shark species who killed humans. If you look at the total number of humans killed by all shark species, you look at 7 humans. 7 human fatalities. You compare that to 700 elephants. And when I look at the way we respond to other animals killing a human or a human fatality caused by another species, how we react to that, and then I look at how we react to sharks with their incredibly low number of human deaths they're responsible for. It's a complete disconnect. It makes absolutely no sense. I think we're lagging light years behind in terms of how we manage the big five in the ocean versus the big five on land, and it's a great pity.
I do agree. I think there's a lot of cognitive. There's a word for that called cognitive dissonance. So like we care more for like terrestrial animals, the cute and cuddly ones, like sorry, cute and cuddly, like for example, lions, rhinos, and in a sense, those animals are quite marketable, and especially for like in your documentary, you did say like we have so many NGOs or campaigns to save the rhinos, right? Because you put a rhino on a billboard or on a social media post, instantly you'll get like so many people supporting you. You do that with a shark, and you're left with mixed responses. um, and I
Exactly.
think that comes. Oh, sorry. I think that comes from both our fear and and our lack of understanding of sharks as a whole.
That is 100% true. Crocodiles and sharks, they are very, very hard to love. Now, I've worked in close proximity to both, and I can tell you a crocodile is way, way more dangerous than a shark,
Mm.
especially a Nile crocodile. A shark really is negligible in terms of the threat that it poses to you. A crocodile does actually, and an elephant does actually pose a threat to you.
Mm.
That is a those are actual threats. I'm just going to move a little bit.
Oh, no, no, no
Um,
problem.
Actual and considerable threats that you must be very careful. You must be careful of those type of animals. I've worked on foot in small teams in close proximity to them, and I've had some of my colleagues trampled by elephant, and I've been thrown by a rhino 3.5 meter in the air. I was lucky to walk away alive from that. Um, so 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 the big five animals are very, very dangerous. On the marine side, the animals are not nearly on that level of danger. Not nearly, not close. And Yeah, so there's unfortunately, we do find that the shark is very hard for people to be compassionate with.
Mm.
And then the other animal would be the crocodile. But like I said, crocodiles are an actual risk. If you are going
Yeah.
to swim through an area with crocodile, you are gonna have some big challenges. But we've actually done that as well as part of our ranger selection on other occasions. Um, but yeah, so sharks hard to have compassion with. But now the thing is, when we talk about these systems in KwaZulu Natal, these shark control systems or bather protection systems, as the KwaZulu Natal Sharks Board would label them. The sad part is that it's not only sharks being culled into complete collapse of their local populations. It's also humpback dolphins. It's also turtles. It's also the giant guitarfish,
Mm.
and it's a threatened, endangered, and critically endangered animals that are innocently suffered and end up in the crossfire or when the shark sport goes after these, let's call them the big three sharks: the tiger shark, the bull shark, and the white shark. Now,
Mm.
if you look at the white shark, this is the scariest shark of them all. This is the real monster out there because he has killed the most humans ever. So, how many humans has he killed? So that is a important question. So now, if you look at it, if you look at the amount of humans that has been killed by the white shark in total, you've got 59 fatalities globally throughout recorded history. 59 fatalities attributed to this monster. Let's compare him to Homo sapiens. How many people were killed, were murdered last year in South Africa? No, yesterday in South Africa. How many people? In a single day, on average, we murder 72 people in South Africa alone. That means our daily murder statistic outweighs the global total throughout recorded history for the white shark. This is how insignificantly uh, small a risk a white shark poses to humans. If you want to see something truly dangerous, look in the mirror.
In the mirror.
It
Yes.
is not the white shark. The white shark is the scariest of the big three sharks, and even him, when we compare him to other risks that we face, it is absolutely insignificant. So culling all these animals, um, culling the humpback dolphins, culling the turtles, culling the giant guitarfish, and I mean the list goes on and on. In this kind of thoughtless manner, especially when non-lethal alternatives exist. It's an incredible sadness, and we have to remember it's not just the white sharks. And yes, it's hard to have compassion for a white shark. I know it is. You're not going to find a lot of people that have compassion for a white shark. It's hard to have compassion for them, but one must remember it's not only them. Now, the 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 population of humpback dolphin, Indian humpback dolphin, that remains is small. And we that worked with a vaquita, we knew that by around the year 2000 there were 500 vaquitas. Today we're sitting with 7 vaquitas. If the vaquita makes it out of this alive, I'd be very, very surprised. I don't think they're going to make it. So and that's sad, but it's in a way it is also good because it allows us to say, guys, you need to wake up.
Mm.
You need to wake up. We are seeing this animal real time. It's going. This is not a theoretical thing. This is a real practical incident that we're experiencing, and we're seeing species going extinct daily in this modern age. So the humpback dolphin, with that small number left, 20-25 years from now, we could have the exact same thing as with a vaquita. We could be down to 7. We could be down to 10. This is a risk we're facing. With a white shark, certainly, the KwaZulu-Natal Sharks Board has done incredible damage to the population. So much so that we may be beyond the point of recovery. And if we're not there now, we may end up there within 2 years or 5 years. This is not a problem that we have 20 years left to solve. We literally could have as little as a year left if we're not already over. But it's not only the white shark, it's the tiger shark, it's the bull shark, it's the giant guitarfish, it's the humpback dolphin, it's a variety of turtle. We need to wake up and take this
Mm.
seriously, because if we don't, we're going to be in the same boat with the vaquita. The vaquita, the number one takeaway from all the serious scientists that worked on the vaquita is the number one takeaway is we should have started sooner. We
Sooner.
waited too late. So we need to wake up. We need to replace that system, and we need to put pressure on the DFFE and the minister of the DFFE to say, you are the referee. You have the Marine Living Resources Act, which is the rule set to the game, and you have a player in this game who is busy committing a foul, and that would be the KwaZulu-Natal Sharks Board, and you keep letting him get away with that foul without blowing your whistle. You need to start blowing your whistle when he commits a foul. Now, the Marine Living Resources Act is very clear. It describes an act of fishing as searching for, locating, taking, or exploiting fish from the ocean. That is the act of fishing. According to that definition of fishing, the KwaZulu-Natal Sharks Board, in fact, is a fishing entity. They are busy fishing. Now, any entity that's busy fishing has to comply with a certain number of points. And one of those points is it has to be sustainable. And they have to attempt to minimize bycatch. Now, the KwaZulu-Natal Sharks Board is not conducting in sustainable fishing, not if you look at the white shark population, and also not if you consider some other factors. So they are violating this act, which governs the way that we manage our marine living resources. And unfortunately, the referee is nowhere to be found when he needs to blow his whistle. I need to just quickly attend to this because it looks like my laptop battery is low. Just give me 5 seconds, okay?
We're back. We're back.
All right, sorry, that's the realities of living here off grid. Okay. Yeah, so what were we talking about? Oh, the shark nets and
Yeah, the drum lines.
the drum lines. The fact that it's a very untargeted approach. I worked in the, like I said, in Big Five, which was just some of the best times of my life, if not the best time. And we dealt. So our niche skill, and one of my niche skills is rhino protection, because it's a very niche skill. It's very different from any other type of poaching. But what was interesting in Africa and in Big Five and in not even Big Five in nature conservation projects is that one of our biggest problems we struggle with is snare poaching. It is actually a way bigger problem than rhino poaching, and I'll explain why. Rhino poaching is a significant problem, but snare poaching, the reason why it's so incredibly destructive is that it's untargeted. So when a rhino poacher comes in, he looks for certain signs. He finds a rhino midden. He looks for rhino tracks, and then he starts walking on the tracks. Then he takes a very calculated aim, 98-9% of the time. He aims, he shoots at the rhino, take off the horn, escape. Okay. Now, where snare poaching differs from that is the poachers will come in. The day of subsistence poachers now is mostly gone. It's a lot of these guys are syndicate guys. They come in, they place 100, sometimes more snares, and they aim for, let's say, impala or waterbuck or whatever. But the reality is, an impala gets caught in the snare. Sometimes it dies a gruesome death. Sometimes it's fast. Sometimes it takes long. It takes a number of days for them to die. Sometimes they die of starvation. Now, then the decay of that flesh starts attracting the scavengers. Now, who falls under scavengers? It's not just hyenas. Hyenas actually hunt the majority of their kill. But for scavengers, it attracts lions, it attracts leopards, it attracts jackal, it attracts all these different predators. They all scavenge on freshly killed carcasses. So now they all come to this site, and now they start getting tracked. So we had one of the reserves I was in charge of protecting, which was my worst area I've ever experienced, maybe second worst. We had 40% of the lion population of the reserve was terminated by snaring. So snaring is a big problem. Now let's jump back into the ocean. What is the snaring of the ocean? the KwaZulu-Natal Sharks Board shark net system is the exact equivalent of snaring you have on land. You have 350 kilometers of these traps that are left in the ocean nearly permanently. Let's say it's permanent because the amount of times it gets taken out is negligible. These systems, they go for the big three sharks, which are going to be your white, your bull shark, or your Zambezi shark, and your tiger shark. That's what they're going for. But what are they catching? So just like the poacher in the bush, the snare poacher is going for the impala and for the waterbuck. He ends up catching the lion. He ends up catching the leopard. He ends up catching endangered and critically endangered animals in those snares. He's not going for it, but that's what he ends up catching. Now, the KwaZulu-Natal Sharks Board, their culling program is doing exactly the same. They're going for the big three, which is wrong to start off with. You shouldn't be doing that. But they end up catching all these other animals in those unattended traps, equivalent to snares on land. That's why it's such a huge problem, and it is something we could fix very, very easily. Poaching on land is not that easy to fix. It's not easy to fix. It takes a lot of resources. The KwaZulu-Natal Sharks Board simply starting to trial and implement alternative solutions. Because I can tell you already, we can just implement it. It's ready. It's off the box, off the shelf. It's ready to be implemented. Non-lethal alternatives. It's ready. But the Sharks Board and the government would like to have trials and proven implementations. That's just the way that projects are managed, especially when human safety, I'm putting it in quotation marks, human safety, because again, I don't believe the shark to be an actual risk to human safety. But when it comes to these kind of things, they're going to want to require trials, and they're going to want to require trials and yeah, they're going to require of us proving that our systems do work. I think I'm lost on the camera. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Yeah, I was wondering because I'm looking at a blank screen. I can still hear you.
It's possibly the network here because it's a bit cloudy. But
Okay.
but yeah, so they're going to want us to prove that our systems can work. Now, the number one thing, now this is the mindset in KZN. This mindset I find incredibly funny because it's such a cop out in the way that they're approaching the implementation of non-lethal bather safety systems and programs. So when they are confronted with the suggestion that change is required and change is necessary, they come back with a list of excuses as to why this cannot be done. And it's a standard list of excuses that's been regurgitated for years now. And it's a very poor list of excuses. But for some reason, they've managed to convince fisheries, and there we go.
There we go.
But it's gone again.
Okay.
Yes, hello.
Again. Okay. We really gotta stop meeting like this, eh?
Okay, let's try again. Let me just see, manage recording. It says it's still being recorded.
Yeah, because I was it was on me, so it was recording me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there
All
we go.
right. So let me just recap on that now that we have video. Okay, so the the systems being employed in KwaZulu-Natal is incredibly destructive to all ocean wildlife, pretty much.
Mm.
And alternatives exist, non-lethal alternatives exist. Now, these systems are production ready. They are ready to be implemented, and the KwaZulu Natal politicians and the Sharks Board and the minister would prefer to have trials first so they can be proven. Now, the list of excuses we hear from the KwaZulu Natal Sharks Board is a very standard list, and they keep referencing these exact same arguments. And it's, in my opinion, it's fairly poor arguments. And that would typically be, we don't have a proven system that works in our ocean. And then they will go off on a tangent where they describe their ocean as being rougher than any other ocean. Their sharks swim low and other sharks swim high. You know, they have all these
Mm.
excuses, but um, they will come up with a list of reasons as to why all the other systems that are out there will not work. And these are all, in my opinion, all completely false and baseless claims. Number one, the Cape is called the Cape of Storms. I've worked all over the world on the oceans. I've stayed literally on boats for years of my life. And when I was at the ocean, I slept right next to the ocean, on it, just above the high water mark. I understand the ocean very, very well. And I've been on rough oceans and easy oceans. And I can tell you, the Cape Ocean is not a gentle ocean. It is also a very, very rough and unforgiving ocean. And the systems we have here have been working for long periods of time, number one. Number two, if there are incidents, shark human interactions which are negative, tourism tends to pick up and go on again. It doesn't end the tourism industry, and so their claims are baseless. The reason, in my opinion, why the KwaZulu Natal Sharks Board does not want to implement this type of technology is threefold. Number one, it's a government entity. They're not known for innovation, and just like the post office cannot compete with DHL, they are not cutting edge anymore. They were in the 50s. They were leaders in bather safety in the 50s, maybe. Now they trail behind, just like most other government entities and departments are going to trail behind their private sector counterparts. They are trailing behind. They are no longer innovators and leaders. So the answer is probably not going to come from them. Not probably, it's most likely not going to come from them. I would be very surprised if the answer comes from them. That's the first thing. The second thing is, this type of non-lethal implementation is going to disrupt their organization completely. It's going to disrupt their business model, and it's going to disrupt their scientific model. And these are the two core things that make up the Sharks Board. Like any other organization, how do I make my money? This is the most important question for any organization. Now, the Sharks Board makes their money by putting out these nets and supporting the fleet, or the fleet of ships and all these other things. Um, it's all structured around these fishing devices. When we change to non-lethals, that structure is going to be impacted. It's going to be affected. It's going to change. They are scared of this disruption. They are scared of the costs. Are they going to lose jobs? Who are going to lose their jobs? How is it going to look for their business? It could completely disrupt their business, and quite understandably, they're scared of this. Number two is, think about their science model. the KwaZulu-Natal Sharks Board, what do they call themselves? The Center of Maritime Excellence or something like that. It sounds a bit like like Idi Amin label, but yeah, whenever you have to call yourself something of excellence in your own words, to me, I don't know. It just to me, it doesn't sound very like you're very convinced yourself. But in any case, scientifically speaking, they're fairly impressive. They've done some great scientific work, and they continue to do some great scientific work. I have to give it to them. But here is the big but.
Yes.
How does their scientific work work? Think about it. Look at all the studies that you find out there, all the papers that are out there.
Mm.
Virtually all of their studies is built on top of the fact that they're sampling species in the ocean. So they've got these 350 kilometers of sampling devices, fishing devices. It's fishing devices. That's all it
Fishing.
is. It's gill nets. Yes,
Yeah.
you have drum lines, but more so the gill nets.
Yes.
That is traps along 350 kilometers of ocean line. That's taking out species out of the ocean. Then they take those animals, they dissect them, they examine what's inside them, they look at the count of how many they caught this year, they compare it to how many they caught the previous year and the year before that and the year before that. Then they do trends. They see, okay, these animals move during these seasons, we're catching them, and this population has declined by this much. Okay, this one could be classified as threatened or endangered. So all of those science is built on these trap based systems. Now, if we come along and we say, "Hey, you're driving these species according to our evidence that we have, your own catch statistics, you're driving these towards extinction. This is not a claim. This is fact. This is scientific fact. You need to stop doing this. If we force them to implement non-lethals, that tool that they've built all their scientific modeling and work on, that falls away. That disappears to them. They no longer have that ace in their hand of cards. So that is what they fear. They fear, number one, a disruption to their business model, and number two, a disruption to their scientific model. And this is probably enough for them to not want to be on board with this plan. I can tell you that much. You can also hear in some of the meetings they attend, they bring up the point that we are a large job provider. Okay, so what? What does that mean? Why are you bringing up the point that you provide work? It is because they fear disruption. They fear that people are going to lose their work when a new system comes in. Now, the question is, should that stop us from doing the right thing by these animals? Should a disruption to a system that's been used for 70 years, 70 to 80 years, should that stop us from doing the just thing? Now, my answer to this is always look at slavery in the US and the abolishment of slavery in the Confederate States. Those who wanted to continue using slaves said
Mhm.
this will disrupt our economic model. This will be bad for our agriculture. Our whole agricultural system is built on the back of slaves, on the back of slavery. And they were right. It was. It would disrupt their system. There would be severe consequences for abolishing slavery. And they would have been the ones that would have felt it most. The farmers in the South would have definitely felt the impact of doing the right thing. But we still have to do the right thing, even
Yes.
if we have to endure a bit of discomfort. This is the world we want to live in, and this is the good world that we should live in. And
Mm.
this is the difference between the light and the darkness. The light is always going to find a way to shine through. And we want to be part of that world. We want to do what is just, not just for us, not just for our kids, but for the whole environment, for all the animals on the planet. Because we do not stay on this planet alone. In fact, we are in the minority and we are the consumers. We don't add that much to this planet. We're not the ones manufacturing the oxygen. We're
Mm.
not the ones manufacturing the food supply. We're not the ones cleaning the water. Those are animals that are performing all those roles, and they've been doing this for millions and millions and millions and millions of years without any of our smart scientists contributing anything towards those systems. They have been doing that work for as long as we know, and we are busy one by one dismantling them and killing them off. And that is suicidal. If we truly want what's best for Homo sapiens, we have to start looking at our wildlife because they are vital to the health of our planet. Someone said it shouldn't be called planet Earth, it should be called planet Ocean because 2/3 are covered in ocean. And that is true. We all came from the ocean. All life started in the ocean, and all life is sustained even today from the ocean. It's from the ocean that we get our oxygen and many other things. So we have to wake up. 1950s archaic culling technology, it belongs in the 1950s, along with the other relics of 1950s, like apartheid and all these other things. It belongs in the past. We need to now move on. We need to wake up. And we need to do that because it's important for us. It's not just important for the animals. That should also be important to us. But more so, more selfishly, it's important for us because we need these animals to be flourishing.
100%. I agree. I am actually involved with an NGO. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so I'm involved with an NGO. I think I spoke to you about it. It's called Blood Lions or Youthful Lions. Now we are advocating against canned hunting, which it's similar to the monstrous trophy hunting, but with lions, there's a whole industry of canned hunting where these predators are bred from a young age. So like if you ever been to like the lion park, which I don't recommend going because so basically people they entice people to come play with the cubs, right? But what happens to those cubs when they get older? Now they live in these enclosed areas, and people from overseas, particularly, let's say, for example, the United States, UK, Europe, they come pay a hefty price to these breeding facilities, and they kill the lion in an enclosed area, and without giving the lion a chance, and they get it's guaranteed they get a trophy. And it comes to the same thing where just as trophy hunting, same with gill nets and with slavery, it's a relic from the past, right? Because it's from what's the word? Colonialism. So yeah, we are just trying to advocate for better welfare for our terrestrial animals. So as you just said, I will try and get my team to notice the last shark, because you just say you want more NGO partners, right?
Yes. We have a petition out at the moment. So we've realized that appealing to the KZN Sharks Board is not going to get us anywhere because they are
Yes.
simply a player in a game. There's a referee and there's a rule set. The only thing that's going to get us a successful outcome in order for us to do what is the right thing to do is going to be adjusting the rule set or holding the referee accountable to the rule set so he blows his whistle when the player commits a foul, because we do actually have a rule set. So we're directing our petitioning and our public pressure towards the minister. Now, that's not the end of our strategy. We've got a long-term, multi-pronged strategy, and we're going to trust me. We're going to have success in this. But we're starting with the handing over of a petition. And in the petition, we're very clear. we want the immediate rollout of MVPs, pilot projects of non-lethals at a number of beaches with an attached timeline to those MVPs or those pilot projects. We want, obviously, as a precursor to that, we need to survey first the beaches to establish a proper. There we go again. I'm not sure if this is maybe a Linux issue. Could be the background effect that's maybe causing it to crash. Let me have a look.
Tivet, I think if you would prefer, I think we should we can call this interview early if we're having a bit of issues with technical difficulties. I think we got most of the points across.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, then, thank you so much, Jimmy.
Okay. So what I do want to end off with is just explaining to you maybe where we are at the moment. So so we don't have to record it. So okay. So our petition, we're calling for a very structured approach in getting to as an intermediate in getting to the final destination, which is a full rollout of non-lethals. Okay, but to start there, we're calling for the setup of an independent panel, the surveying and the establishment of a decision to target 5 initial beaches on which we will conduct trials with a timeline attached to those trials. That's what we're calling for, and we're pressuring the minister. So every signature we can get on that petition means something to us. That's vital. But even more important than that is every organization we can get to put their stamp and their logo on that petition is going to mean a lot more even to us. Because think about it, you've got BTC, business to customer, you've got BTB, business to business. Business to business is always easier because if you convince one business to do business with you, they come with, let's say, 10,000 clients already. So it's much more efficient to do that, invest that negotiation time. The same with what we're doing. We'll take every single signature we can. But for us, very valuable is getting organizations on board to put their logo next to our petition. Because number one, that business comes with a number of influential leaders. And it comes with already an audience or a network of supporters. Every business has more than one entities attached to it. Sometimes 1,000, sometimes 5,000, sometimes 20. So that's why we want business logos, businesses to say we support your call for the implementation of non-lethal systems to reduce all this terrible bycatch. We'll put our logo on your petition. That's for us first prize. Second prize is we've got to share that petition and get more out there. And then apart from that, yeah, if you want to do Last Shark screenings, or if we can do any types of talks and just spread general awareness around the issues, anything like that is welcome as well. I always say, like, this is my strategy. This is how I see things going forward. But my strategy sometimes has blind sides and blind spots. I don't see everything, and sometimes I miss things. So it's good to have different people like yourself with different backgrounds coming out of different parts of the world, because you're going to see things that we don't necessarily see. So we don't want to put you in a box and say, only do this or only do that. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to go a little bit with the flow as well. And yeah, so if you want to do some, whatever it is you want to do, some talks or whatever, yeah, go for it.
Thank you.
The more the merrier.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we should wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Duvet. I wish you the best of luck in shark conservation. I'll do my part in trying to spread awareness and getting more people to sign the petition. And I'll definitely speak to some NGOs I'm talking to help put the stamp on the petition. So as we said, if I could just summarize this our entire conversation in in one sentence, sharks are extremely important, and the demonization they get is unjustified at all. So we definitely need to step up and do the right thing to protect them. Because if we lose sharks and they survived all the mass extinctions, because if we lose them, then it literally, figurative, linguistically speaking, it's game over for us, literally.
Absolutely. We would move into a world where our species de-evolve because they no longer have that apex predator and that keystone species that continuously shapes them and keeps all these individual species healthy. We would literally, our natural world would devolve.
Yeah.
Like you said, millions, hundreds of millions of
Mm.
years they've been around and they've been shaping what we have, and they continue to do so. That's perfectly summarized. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and good luck for the rest of your day. And we'll speak again.
You too. Thank you, Duvet. Take care.
Okay, mate. Ciao, ciao.
Cheers.